I want to share two examples. One example of the hard close, and I want to share another example of a time when I got good at closing and it didn't even seem like a close and how that turned out. So let me tell you about example number one. This is 2013, July 20th, and I'm in a city called Fort Smith, Arkansas. I love Northwest Arkansas. Fort Smith sucks ass. It's super hot. It's like 10 degrees hotter than Bentonville. You got a lot of people that are stubborn. You got a lot of people that are old. They're not open-minded to anything. They think their town is completely safe. It was not the greatest city. I hated it. How do I remember the exact date? Well, that's because that's the day of my anniversary. Here's what happened. 2013, the company I worked for is a company called Vivint. We were selling home security systems, as many of you guys know, and they did a really, really good job of gamifying everything. So there was always a competition. It was like, okay, how do we get these bastards to go out, move their family for the summer, go to some random ass hot city and go pound on doors while we sit in our freaking bougie offices and they do all the grunt work. They were really good at it. So they would always run competitions. And so it just so happens that my first year, I'm Mr. Ego, and I'm like, dude, I'm going to beat everybody in the office. I'm going to be the top rookie. I'm going to make $100,000, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They were running this competition, and it was literally bracket style. Like, think of March Madness. You got all these people, and they would do it company-wide. So we had our office in Northwest Arkansas, and I was matched against other rookies. And so basically what they would do is for the next 3 days, you are going against Hayden, whatever his name is, and he's in St. Louis. And there's criteria, and it's based on how many sales you get, how good the deal is, did you do credit card, did you do checking, all this different stuff. So I'm in the middle of this competition. It's 2013, and by this point, I'm doing pretty well. I'm literally think that I'm just the man. Like, I think that I'm killing it. And it's my anniversary. On top of that, my parents have come into town with my mother-in-law to come visit because it's the first time that we've moved away from the house. They wanted to come check out Arkansas and all that stuff. So here's what happened. We started our summer up in Northwest Arkansas in Bentonville, and we had to move down to this place called Fort Smith. So what had happened is everybody, the whole team had moved down to Fort Smith, and it was like the same week as we moved our team. So we moved like 2 hours. But because my mom and my dad were coming into town, my wife stayed up in that city at the apartment because that's where the airport is. So she stayed up there and she's like, hey, are you going to take the day off? I'm like, of course I'm not taking the day off. She's like, it's our anniversary. I'm like, I don't give a shit if it's our anniversary. I'm winning this competition. Not giving marital advice here. I'm just telling you how I am. So it's a Saturday and I'm like, look, I'm going to go and I'm going to crush this guy. We're going head to head. And here I am busting my ass, missing my anniversary to win this competition. My wife and my mother-in-law and everybody's up 2 hours away. And I told them, hey, I'm going to go and knock. I'm going to go and sell. I'll be done as soon as I get 2 deals. And they went to a rodeo and we're like, we're going to go to dinner at like 7, 8 o'clock. So guess what happened? What always happens in sales, everything went wrong. I thought I had a couple deals teed up. They fell through. I thought I was going to literally go and sign papers on a couple deals. And I walked to the door and there's a note says, hey, Mr. Nick, Mr. Vivint guy, thanks for your time. We're not interested, right? Boom, boom, boom. Right off the bat, I'm like, oh, that's a great way to start Saturday. So I'm grinding. I did not get a deal all day. And to even stay in the competition, I was like, dude, if I don't get a deal, I'm out. And I'm winning this thing. So 5 o'clock comes and I'm like, shit, there's no deal. I'm not walking away. I'm not going. So I call my buddy Curtis and he's going to drive up because his wife had stayed too. And I was like, bro, I gotta sell for like another hour or two. And I'm going to just hitch a ride up with you. He's like, okay, sounds good. I knocked for 2 more hours. It's like 7 o'clock and I squeeze my ass into this house. And this is like one of those deals where they were, coming and give us a price, but they weren't super interested. They weren't super qualified. They did a lot of stuff wrong. I was kind of rushing it because I knew I was going to be in big trouble with my wife. So I get in the house and I do my whole thing and I don't do the setup correctly, meaning I don't overcome that many objections before we get to the closing table. I don't. I kind of rush through it and I get to the table and I go for the close and it's a dogfight. And they're spitting objection after objection after objection. And I'm like, I planted my ass down. I'm like, you guys don't understand. I got to get this deal done. And by the time it was done, I had given away a bunch of free equipment. I was paying their activation, which meant I was coming out $100 out of pocket. Basically, I was breaking even on the deal, but I was like, I'm getting the damn deal. I put this much effort into it. And I freaking hard closed the shit out of these people. The husband, the wife, the daughter, everyone's sitting there. And I'm like, dude, we got to get this thing done. I'm doing all the tricks. I'm doing everything. I'm telling them, hey, we can't do it tomorrow. I mean, I'm doing everything. I end up getting the deal. I mean, I hard closed the living shit out of these people. And I'm like, hey, cool. I'm excited, blah, blah, blah. Glad to have you in the Vivint family. Your home's now protected, all that bullshit. I walk out and I call my buddy Curtis and I'm like, yo, pick me up. Let's go. If we leave right now, I'm going to get there at like 10:30 and we're gonna be okay. I'm gonna be able to like apologize to my wife, and she's gonna forgive me. Keep in mind, this is my first wedding anniversary, not like my fifth, not my second. This is number one. This is my very first one. Like, I get it, ladies. Not a cool move. So I call my buddy Curtis. He's like, okay, sounds good. I'm just finishing up. I'll call you right back. I walk over to like wherever I said, hey, I'll be at this street and this street. I go walk over. I'm just giving the fist pump. I'm proud of myself. The hard close. I'm just jacked. I get 2 phone calls back to back. First phone call is from my buddy Curtis. He calls me and he goes, bro, I got some real bad news for you. He goes, I just got to my car and I got a flat tire. He's like, we're not getting to Bentonville anytime soon. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me, dude. This is the day you get a flat tire on today's date? Come on, you're joking. He's like, no, I got a flat tire. I'm like, oh shit. So he's like, let me call a tow truck, whatever. And he goes and starts fixing the flat. Wife's asking where I'm at. A couple minutes later, I get a call from one of our technicians named Carl. Carl, he is just what you picture with a technician. Hasn't washed his shirt in about 20 weeks, smells like cigarettes. And he calls me and I'm like, why the hell's Carl calling me? He's supposed to be doing the job. Carl calls me and goes, yo, whatever their names are. He's like, they're not letting me in the house. They said they don't want to do it tonight. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, they don't want to let me in. I'm like, well, just a second, bro. Hang up. And I call Mr. Dickhead and I said, bro, Carl's got to get in to install this thing. I told you we were going to do the deal we were going to do, but we got to install it tonight, not tomorrow, not in a couple hours, right fucking now. And I call the guy and he goes, yeah, you know, after you left, just to be honest, bro, like we weren't super comfortable with the deal, but like we didn't really feel like we had an option. And so we just signed the thing, but yeah, we're canceling. We're not doing it. And I'm like, you got to be shitting me, man. Like, what do we got to do to make this happen? He's like, no, like we went through that. We're done. We're not doing it. Hangs up the phone. So not only did I lose the deal, got kicked out of the competition, lost to freaking numbnuts in St. Louis, whatever. I lost that. We had the flat tire. And on top of that, I ended up getting in the car with my buddy. We hauled ass to Bentonville. And I can't make this shit up. I walked in the door. Everybody was asleep. It was 12:15. And my wife was absolutely pissed out of her mind. Still is to this day. That's the first one. That's what happens when you hard close. And I thought I was so cool. I was getting this deal. I was going through the thing and I just pressure. That's what pressure does. Even if that person would have got it installed, I can't help but think they probably would have been a pain in the ass customer. And my second story is much shorter because what happens when you don't apply pressure. I knock on this door and it was either 1 or 2 years later. I'd done this a lot of times. I'd knocked thousands of doors, closed hundreds of deals at this point. I knock on this door and I deliver a freaking money pitch. Everything goes right. It's kind of bad timing. I'm like, look, I'll stop back by, blah, blah, blah. And we didn't even hardly talk about the deal. I did my normal thing. Like I did what we called at that time, we called it our walkthrough, which is we walk in the house, we put the binder here, we go to this window, then we go to this window, then we go to this window, and we tell the stories. I did it perfectly, but I had gotten good enough where it didn't feel like a sale. I wasn't sitting there and just like talking just about the product and all the features and the whole thing. I was having a conversation with him and I was like, yo, like, tell me about what you're doing. And this guy owned a nutrition shop and this guy had like all these sick cars. I mean, it didn't even feel like a sale. It was pleasant for me. It was pleasant for him. We get to the end of the deal. He signs up. And then I find out on top of that, he's like, yo, I have these other stores. I have these tanning salons. He's like, take my number. I'm probably going to do some more of these. I'm like, yeah, everyone says that. Dude, this guy called me over the next year and a half. This guy called me 4 more times and did 4 more security systems with me, referred me to his aunt, referred me to his brother, who I did 2 with him. I got like 6 deals from this one guy. And the brother that he referred me to is somebody that I'm doing a real estate deal with right now in Northwest Arkansas. And guys, I didn't hard close. It didn't even feel like a fucking sale, like at all. It was like I was just going through the process and I was doing it correctly. And I spent the entire time removing buying pressure.